I'm 48, and last fall and winter I gained so much weight that by the time spring came around, my shorts and my pants were not fitting me. Today I'm sharing with you my unexpected discovery about what was causing the weight gain, what I'm doing to change it, and seriously, why is it so hard to lose weight at this age? Hot flash. Welcome to Midlife Mocktails. I'm Sarah Kate, and I am not a health and wellness practitioner, but I am a very curious individual and a midlife woman who is really trying to look and feel her best in midlife, and that's why I'm here today. I just want to share with you some of the things that are going on my midlife journey and the things I'm doing to try and look and feel my best. And just a reminder that I'm only sharing with you what's working for me, and so please take all of this with a grain of salt. So what works for me may not work for you. Please talk to your medical practitioner before starting any new program. So here we go. I've always been an active person. I used to be a long distance runner, and I've always been in and out of gyms and doing classes, and I really always had the energy and motivation to do that. But towards the fall of last year, I was completely burnt out. I just didn't have the motivation to go to the gym and work out or do any type of activity, so I completely dropped all of my physical fitness. I really stopped caring about my wellness at that point and just sort of braced myself to get through the holidays. I also found myself crying on the couch all the time, and I thought that was from some of the things happening in my business. I was really sad about things happening in my business, and it was like a chicken and an egg. I was sad and had no energy, so I stopped working out, which caused me to gain weight, which made me more sad and more tired and less likely to have the motivation and the energy to actually move my body and do the things that were going to be good for me. It was a relentless toxic cycle. I knew I was probably in perimenopause, but I didn't really understand what the symptoms were of that. I just thought, okay, my periods might be getting heavier or lighter or whatever, and I wasn't really paying attention to all the other things that could be perimenopause. So it came as a complete shock to me when I started talking to health practitioners about what was going on, and really they all said the same thing, that I was in full-blown late stage perimenopause, and that was contributing to my lack of energy, my mood swings, my feelings of depression. It was such a relief. It was such a relief to find out that finally I could put a name or a label on this feeling of like complete exhaustion and depression and just feeling awful all the time. So in total, I gained 20 pounds, or if you want to put it another way, in the summer of 2023, I was 20 pounds lighter than I was in February of this year. So it was almost 2 years, and most of that weight I gained within the last like 6 to 8 months. Once I wrapped my head around, okay, this is perimenopause weight gain, and these were all the contributing factors, and these were all the things that were happening, it became imperative that I start finding a solution to this. I could not fit into my clothes. I was feeling so awful. Once I was able to put a name to it, it was easier for me to wrap my head around, okay, what is my action plan? I started to implement some of this in February. We're in July right now. So I'm gonna share with you now a couple of the things that I've been doing that have been really helpful. And this is not a plan or a program. This is not my advice for you. This is just what I'm doing to share what research I gathered and some of the things that I've been trying that have been working for me and have been real game changers. Okay, so the first area that I really attacked was stress and cortisol. In my research about perimenopause and all the things that I needed to start understanding about myself, I realized that I was living in a constant state of fight or flight. So constant flight mode, really high cortisol. I just felt like I was constantly in high alert state of stress, trying to figure out how I was going to make ends meet. That was the number one thing that I'm like, okay, I really got to reduce my stress and my cortisol. So other people might do things like journaling, trying meditation. I just can't do those things. So I'm a writer by trade, so I write anyway. I just don't want to write more, and I don't want to write to myself. I also have a really hard time sitting still. So doing meditation is actually quite difficult for me, but I discovered yoga. I decided to try a 30-day yoga program. I just queued one up on YouTube. It's the original 30 Days of Yoga with Adriene. So if you're familiar with Yoga with Adriene, so many people know who she is already. I did her original 30-day yoga program, and I did that for almost the entire month. It took me about 35 days to do the 30 days. Doing yoga for 30 days actually had a profound effect on me. I can't really put my finger on it, but I felt a little bit more relaxed. I felt less anxious. I felt less anxious for sure. I felt a little bit more calm as I was going throughout my day, not every day, but I also started to feel my sort of equilibrium in my body was really starting to settle down. I definitely felt a shift. I felt more positive and more joyful and more aligned the longer I got through the 30 days. So that was the first thing I did to try and help reduce my stress and get my cortisol regulated. Okay, the second thing that I did was I really started doing research on supplements, and I had been really skeptical about supplements because everybody's trying to sell you supplements online, and I was so confused about what to take. There were so many options, but I really started drilling into the research and the experts, the real experts, the doctors talking about what women in perimenopause need. There were 3 things that were really a game changer for me that I really think contributed to my overall feeling of health, but also gave me my energy back so that I could start moving my body again, and were gonna help with weight loss. The biggest game changer for me was magnesium. So everybody talks about magnesium, and there's a lot of like kind of, oh, sleepy girl mocktail with magnesium in it. That magnesium makes me poop. So just FYI, if you're looking into magnesium, really try a little bit at a time until you figure out what the best one is for you. But I started taking a magnesium bisglycinate powder at nighttime. So I just stirred in a scoop into some water before bed, and it makes me sleep really well. But I truly feel like that was the game changer. I started monitoring my diet, which I'll get to in a second, and I realized that I was only getting about 30% of like the regular daily amount of magnesium that a woman in perimenopause should be getting. So once I started taking magnesium, it was a huge game changer as far as my energy levels went. I'm not sure how I can describe this or why this happened, but once I started taking it, I could really see the difference. So the second supplement that has been a huge game changer for me is glutamine. Pure glutamine. So I ordered this big jar of glutamine online. I found out that glutamine helps with sugar cravings, and one thing I haven't talked about is that I have a massive sugar addiction. So during my hiatus from exercise, I was actually probably binge eating a lot more than I should have. I really needed to work on getting rid of this sugar addiction. I definitely had estrogen dominance. I know this from talking to my health practitioner. I also had insulin resistance from eating all this sugar. Glutamine was the first thing that I started to try and help with the sugar cravings. It's a very subtle difference. Glutamine helped me stop thinking about sugar. I'm going to get to my diet in a second, but that was combined with the glutamine was combined with a whole bunch of other dietary changes. I had a whole bunch of GI issues, and glutamine helped with my GI issues and simultaneously was helping with sugar cravings. The third thing that I started taking was calcium D-glucarate. Calcium D-glucarate is something that helps your liver to process and clear estrogen. That was a really huge thing for me because I'm estrogen dominant. I had to try and use something naturally, and then fiber works in tandem with the CDG to flush all of the excess estrogen out of your system. The only thing is it made me pee a lot, but other than that, I would highly recommend talking to your naturopath or your doctor and finding out if CDG is something you should take. So if you're estrogen dominant like me, that is something that you can do, but there are a lot of other options. Okay, the next area I wanted to talk about was diet, and I know that that's probably the thing that everybody thinks is going to be the main aspect of weight loss, but I do feel like the diet part of it worked alongside all these other things I was doing. I actually found out that I was eating way too much. I did always think I was eating healthy, and I kind of mentally thought, okay, I'm eating about 1,800 calories a day, but when I started actually counting my calories, I was eating like 2,600 calories a day on average because I wasn't tracking my treats. So I don't know if you're like me, but I was secretly not tracking my cookies and treats and things. And I mean, I was only cheating myself. So really, when it came down to it, I had to really make an effort to track everything, including my treats and my cookies. Now I am tracking my calories. I'm also tracking my macros. And I used an online macro calculator and told the calculator how old I was. And I know that protein is a priority for women in perimenopause. And so it told me that I needed 140 grams of protein a day. So I'm aiming for that. So far, so good. It seems fairly easy to get in 140 grams of protein, and fiber. I'm aiming for 35 grams of fiber also. So protein and fiber are the two things that I'm prioritizing. Fibers to obviously, as mentioned, help with getting rid of some of that excess estrogen once it's being processed through my liver with the calcium glucarate. Fiber is also so great for all the other things, helping to repair and maintain the lining of your GI tract. So I'm aiming for 140 grams of protein and 35 grams of fiber every day. And I'll do another video on how I'm getting all that fiber in. It's not easy. I found a few like tricks and hacks. I really try and make sure that I've got all my protein up until the end of dinner so that I'm not eating a snack after dinner to try and hit my protein goals. That actually has been really, really helpful because then I don't have sugar cravings. So the protein in conjunction with the glutamine has really helped to curb my sugar cravings and has helped me to not go into the kitchen late at night and sneak those treats that I used to always sneak. So that's what I'm doing on that nutrition side. And now on to exercise. So I finally went back to the gym after a really, really long hiatus, and I just gave myself grace to go 2 days a week. So I did an upper body and a lower body for a couple of months just to get back into the swing of things. I really mentally at the beginning was like, had to encourage myself until I found the energy and motivation again. So now that I've started on this supplement regime and I've started getting my energy back, it's a lot easier to go to the gym. So now I've bumped myself up to 3 times a week. And I made the decision to lift heavy instead of doing gym workouts, going to HIIT classes and things like that. I listened to a whole bunch of experts talk about how lifting heavy is the thing that women over 40 should be doing. And so I'm not necessarily lifting heavy to lose weight. I'm starting to lift heavy for my longevity and so that I can be more mobile when I'm older. I'm really feeling like the consistency in the long run will pay off. I think this is the most motivated that I've been for a very long time to go to the gym. I think having a workout plan that utilizes progressive overload has been sort of like gamifying it for me. So I'm excited to see where this can take me. I'm really hoping that in the long run that lifting heavy is going to also help me with my overall weight and health and wellness. So we shall see. Are you ready for the results? I haven't seen much change on the scale, but where I've really seen incredible changes has been in my mental health and in my energy and my overall wellness. That's the big difference. So prior to discovering I was in perimenopause, I just had no energy to put in any effort into this whatsoever. But now with a few tweaks, I've seen a complete 180 in how I'm approaching my day, my energy level, and how I'm feeling overall. So there has been actually like remarkable change in that area. Maybe not on the scale, but the good news is that I recently put on a pair of shorts that did not fit me a few months ago, and I was able to button them up and zip them up, and they weren't as snug as they were. But I'm taking that as a win because I do feel like my waist has shrunk a little bit. I just felt so much joy in that moment. I felt like I was finding myself again, like I was back to myself. And I think that that's really important when we're in midlife, is to take these small wins and really appreciate how hard it's been to get there. It has been a struggle for the last few months to really keep this top of mind, and it's been a good struggle, but it's not as easy as when we were in our 20s and we could just go on a diet for a few weeks and lose some weight. So I think that I'm moving in the right direction, and I think that with all these changes I'm implementing that I'm probably going to hopefully lose that 20 pounds sooner rather than later. I would love to hear from you if you're also in midlife and experiencing weight gain and really frustrated at the process of trying to lose it, because God, why is it so hard to lose weight at this age? I'd love to hear from you. And if you are new here and you haven't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Also, thanks for watching Midlife and Mocktails. See you next time.